I got a question for you. Got any idea who repairs and overhauls the airplanes that you fly on? Think about it for a minute. I know you see the mechanics down on the tarmac, but you might be surprised to find out that last week American Airlines revealed how it's going to cut big costs following the bankruptcy problems. Some of those cuts are apparently going to come in who's patching up your airplane. American plans to outsource some major maintenance work overseas. Apparently other airlines have been doing this for a while now. But what does that mean when it comes to your safety? This is a story that we also feel has been undercovered, and so for that reason, we've invited in retired commercial pilot Jim Tillman, who knows his way around a plane or two. He joins us live from Phoenix to give us some perspective on this. Jim, I'm so glad to see you here because you'll be the definitive resource on this. Should I be worried about this?
No. You should not worry about it any more than you would worry about flying on many of the major airlines in this country, because they've been doing it for a long time.
Well, you say that, but then I read this statement from the Transport Workers Union. The international president, James Little, said this, and it's a bit long, so I hope you'll indulge me for a moment. The airline industry's dirty little secret is that more and more planes are being flown to third-party offshore locations for major overhauls and repairs. The FAA only inspect these facilities in China, El Salvador, and Mexico, and elsewhere at most once a year, and by treaty must give 30 days notice. A loophole in our laws allows our commercial airliners to be worked on in these poorly secured, largely unregulated facilities by mostly unlicensed mechanics who lack background checks, who have never had a drug test, and who often cannot read the repair manuals. Jim Tillman, get me off the ledge. This is not just anybody. This is the president of the Transport Workers Union. Why is he wrong?
No, he's not wrong. And do I like it? No, not even a little bit. I didn't like it
but
when
you said I
some of the other airlines started to do it. No, you shouldn't worry because it's not going to help anything. Well, here's the thing, Ashley. I mean, the whole country is going toward this sort of thing. I would hope that now the trend would be the other direction, but it isn't. And one of the greatest PR things that Americans could do right now to keep their passengers coming in happy is to buck this trend and decide, no, we're going to keep American employees in America and not pay somebody out in another part of the world. I got to tell you, unfortunately, or maybe fortunately, we don't have evidence that this has not worked. I don't know of a single situation whether there's been an incident, or an accident certainly, because of outsourced maintenance. I do know of some problems we've had right here in our own country where the inspections were not done properly and airlines have been fined and everything else. It's a very difficult case to make, except for one thing. There are people involved. The people that are actually turning a wrench on our airplane. I want that person to have American Airlines on their shirt. I don't want that person to have any other. And I think the same way about Delta and about United and some of the other airlines that do this.
You hit the nail on the head there. I'll tell you what, Jim, I just did a segment with Ali Velshi, and I don't know if you heard it or not, but it was about our iPads, and they're all built in other countries, and we seem to be just fine with this technology, and this stuff is pretty intricate stuff, and we don't complain. But for the fact that if my iPad doesn't work tomorrow, nobody's going to die. So here's my question for you, and let me read what the FAA said with regard to all of this before I ask you that question. The FAA increases overall surveillance of airlines anytime they are in bankruptcy to make sure maintenance and other safety-related tasks are being done properly. We have seen no areas of concern so far. But I think, Jim, I'm just more curious about the FAA telling me, don't worry, Ashley, even though that's outsourced mechanics work, we check them when they get back on U.S. soil. You will not be flying on a flight or on an aircraft that has not been double checked by somebody here in the USA. That isn't the case, is it?
No, it's not the case, and I got to tell you that there's evidence that it has not been the case. But I will say this to you. I cannot believe, now I don't know everything, but I cannot believe that it's not possible for an airline, any airline, to sit down with their maintenance people and say, hey guys, we're going to have to outsource this unless we can work something out. Let's sit down and work a plan out. I believe it can be done, and I just don't think there has been the heart to do that. It's so much easier to just outsource and say we're saving 50% on all of our maintenance. Let's do the American work by sitting down with Americans and making the decisions that we're going to protect these airplanes and we're going to protect our passengers. It would be great for their public relations. It would be all at the same time magnificent for the mechanics and those people that work so hard and have a career. You have to realize this is not a job. Maintenance people on an airline do not have jobs. This is a career for them. They intend to be there from day one until they retire. Now, to drop them out on the street, I got to tell you, I'm depressed.
Well, I'm depressed as well, but you know, most people will say that's business, and that has been the way of business for the last decade and a half, and why should the airlines be behaving any differently in this business model? But you know, that's a whole other conversation for a whole other time, so you're invited back anytime at 5 o'clock in the morning on my morning show. Will you do that, Jim Tillman?
For you, I would get up that early. I don't know if I'd do that for many other people.
That's two that I've booked. I booked two guests I now booked on this program. Mr. Tillman, thank you very much for your time. I really appreciate it. I'm not off the ledge, but I do appreciate your insight, my friend.